can you talk about the Beach Boys at all? Like this,
What do you want to know?
I'm kind of curious about this 50th anniversary because you were a part of that, right? You were like when they
Yeah.
all came together again.
Yeah.
Was it like you were? Did you just have to stand back and watch these family members act out whatever
I
they're
didn't
going through?
know. I didn't know if I was gonna. I had heard rumblings about this for years before it ever happened. And it's like, is it gonna happen? They can't get on the same page, this and that. And then it was gonna be a real thing, and I knew that. And then I just assumed I wouldn't be on it because I assumed Brian would take his band because that would be that's how it would have been. And so I was already calling around. My friend Mark Schulman said, well, I can get you an audition with Foreigner and I can do, I can go try to do these other things. So I'm trying to line something up. My phone rings. I was out in the drum shed looking at my gear.
As one does.
Yeah.
Not one had.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I like to count my snow anyway. But I got a phone call from a guy in Brian's camp, Jeff Foskett, who was Brian's right-hand man and actually sang all the Brian Wilson parts, the high parts. He said, hey, Cowsill, want you to come down to Ocean Way to do some recording. I said, you do you? Now, I haven't spoke to anybody in Brian's camp because I'm in the love camp, That's how I talk about it. So I'm thinking, okay, so it's, and I said, okay, well, let me check this out. He says, okay, but here's the day you need to come on down here. I said, okay. So immediately I called Mike and said, hey man, I said, I'm getting a call from Foskett to go down to Ocean Way. He said, yep, go ahead, go down to Ocean Way. And I went down there and I went in the studio and Brian's there. And said my kit got set up and we're going to record a song, do it again for the promo. So I figured I'm in, at least for this far. And Mike D'Amico is the other drummer who was also told he's going to be playing drums. So we actually had matching kits made by Ludwig. Both had these blue glass glitter kits. So because we thought we were going to be two drummers on the stage. That's what they told us. So I go down there, Mike's not there. So I'm going to be the drummer on the session and they're videotaping everything. And I go in. Now, my brother Bill and Brian were very, very close friends. And Brian is a Cowsill fan. Okay. Oh, it was just, anyway, so I go down there and he sees me. Now he knows I'm a Cowsill. And I think sometimes he thinks I'm Billy because I look like him. Now. But he referred to me when I was at the drum set. I was playing something. They said, drummer, play it on a 3, And I went, okay. And everybody gets on him right away. He says, Brian, you know who that is? It's John Cowsill. And I said, whoa, everybody back off. I like being called drummer by Brian. So he can call me drummer. And Brian looks at me, goes, okay, this is good. And so we recorded Do It Again. And it was great because all the guys were there. Al was there, David Marks, Bruce Johnston, Mike, and Brian. So those are the 5 guys. And I was the fly on the wall watching.
It was great.
But everybody was lovely with each other, I hung out at Capitol and watched kind of the recording of it after we finished tracking. Then there were a couple of days I went back for reshoots and stuff, I think. And then recorded some of the things on there. That's why God made the radio album. So I knew I was in. So we're getting ready to go on tour, and all preps. I'm getting phone calls. Hey, what's your drum tech going to do? I told them I'll tech myself. They said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'll tech my own stuff. So that was weird for them to hear me say that. And then I was going to get together with Mike D'Amico, who was Brian Wilson's drummer. And so he was coming out to the house because he'd never played with another drummer. So we were going to rehearse 2 drum sets. And I said, well, come on to my house. So he shows up on my door here and in this room. He knocks on the door and I open the door. He says, hey, man, and he's kind of looked bummed. I said, what's going on, Mike? He goes, well, I got some good news and bad news. I said, and I look at him, I said, dude, what's up? He says, what do you want first? I said, Jesus, give me the good news. He goes, you are the drummer. And so now I'm not happy. I said, oh my God, well, come in the house? I said, because now I'm going to hear the bad news. And he says that I'm the drummer and he's not. And we're sitting at the kitchen table to my left here. And he says, yeah, they said, I said, so what's up? He says, well, you're going to be the drummer. And, they asked me if I played bass, and he continued, and I stopped him right there. I said, you play bass? He says, well, yeah. I said, what's the problem? You be the bass player. Like, I wouldn't care what I played as long as I got to do the gig, because like I played a few things, but, and he said, well, yeah, I guess so. I said, Mike, I will give you the drumsticks. You will play drums on that tour. I said, at some point you will be drumming on the stage on the 50th. And so it got decided. He ended up being the bass player, and man, but that just broke my heart, because we had these kits made. Yeah. You can't stop us now. Anyway, so we're out there.
Nice.
We got on the road, and the rehearsals were the funnest thing. I mean, that was really fun because we were actually rehearsing at Center Stage in Burbank, in the big room. And every day was such fun to go there. I felt like, it's like summer camp, man. We're working with Brian's guys who are all my friends. And then Scott Totten and I are from Mike's band, the only two guys from Mike's band. And the other guys got to stay home and got paid anyway. So,
Not so bad.
yeah, not so bad. But I enjoyed that. And it was fun to listen to all five guys around the piano. Darian would be sitting at the piano.
Sure.
Scott Taunton was one of the MDs and made sure they do all the harmony parts. It was just so cool to be sitting there. I have it all on my iPhone, all the films of the whole rehearsals and everything. And then we went on the road, and it was very successful and very fun. But I knew it was going to come to an end because I knew Mike was going to want to go back to, the whole deal was like, well, we're going to go to September, and then I'm going to go do my thing, and you guys are going to do your things. And everybody was harping on Mike, well, we need to keep this going. And it's like, guys, we said we were going to do this, A, B, and C, and that's what happened. And that's how it happened. Like, people can not like they can like it, but that was the deal on the table. So it was a great run. And Brian had been having a career just until around the same time I got out of the Beach Boys. He stopped touring. So everybody was working still, but it was fun, man, playing the Hollywood Bowl packed. Come on. Playing all the Greek theaters, playing Red Rocks in Colorado. Come on, man. Couldn't run upstairs fast enough in the arena, in the amphitheater. Royal Albert Hall, several. Well, I play that with you.
Oh, I know. But
Just
it's one of the best ones.
But it was a magical thing for some of us, and of course we didn't want it to end, but it was going to end.